Hello everyone, Mark here with Mark's Max Muscle, and let's jump right back into this NABBA Pro Champions of the 80s tournament. Today's matchup features Charles Clairmonte versus Brian Buchanan. Aesthetically speaking, these are two of the best bodybuilders of all time. Charles, of course, a little bit larger than Brian. That may be an advantage. But of course, Brian Buchanan has that legendary waistline, and that illusion creates so much size everywhere else. And Brian has a good size upper body anyway. Now, of course, his legs are going to be a little bit smaller in this comparison. Charles Clairmonte, a massive set of quads. But I think there's enough cuts in those legs of Brian to do battle as far as the wheels are concerned, and I'm going to actually give him the victory in this one. But I am here to tell you, this is a tight decision. I have to make these decisions fast. I can't wait around because Charles looks great too. But it is a very, very close decision. So I give a slight nod to Brian Buchanan, and here we go with the front double bicep, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot believe how close of a matchup this is. I could have easily went with Charles Clairmonte in the front relaxed, and I could have easily give this one to Brian Buchanan, but I am going with Charles Clairmonte. His aesthetics, I could say aesthetics, but look at Brian Buchanan, aesthetically speaking. He looks like a dream wrapped in a blanket. Both of these guys just look unreal. So I just really have to look at the proportions and things of that nature. And once again, the smaller legs of Brian dings him on this one. Charles Clairmonte, he is crouching down a little bit, so he appears to be the same height. And when you're a little bit taller than that, doing that is very dangerous. Makes your opponent look much smaller. And Charles, just the massive quads, unreal proportions on this man. To get a victory on Brian Buchanan in the front double bicep is no easy task, but Charles Clairmonte, world-class front double bi, and if any matchup that I have ever put on is going to create controversy, this one here should take the cake. Each and every one of these poses, each one of these guys, they're neck and neck with each other. Unreal. These are two photo shoots, of course. I'd like to keep everything competition, but heck, when you get two good, clear photo shoots like this, why not use them? Each man has a excuse for a victory here, for sure, for sure. I'm going to once again lean towards Brian Buchanan. That small waistline looks like a distorted picture. It's just unreal. I cannot believe it. But having said that, Charles Clairmonte looks fantastic as well. Two of the all-time best front lat spreads. And here we have it, folks, the side chest pose. Buchanan actually looks quite substantial, quite thick from the side. I'm surprised. Aesthetically speaking, he's not the best here in this pose, and I am surprised. Quite shocked indeed. Charles Clairmonte, if you Googled side chest in my brain, this picture here would come up. This is unreal aesthetic flow. I mean, yes, you can beat it with more muscle and stuff like that, but aesthetically speaking, no, nothing doing. This is the best, the finest side chest ever, complete with the perfect death face. Look at that death face Charles Clairmonte displays. Wow. So he takes an easy point here, in my opinion. Here we have the first of the two back shots. And this matchup, it really surprises me. These guys are equal on almost every pose. Now, Charles, he has the edge in the lower lat meat. Look at that thickness. But it almost looks blocky in a way, his back. And the V-taper of Brian Buchanan, unbeatable. Both men, unreal in the hamstring department. Do you see that? Wow, wow, wow. But when it comes to the glutes, Charles Clairmonte, well, how can I put it? He has a badonko, donka, big bomb. Yeah. But Brian Buchanan has some good glutes there, and I think that slight edge is just enough to get him just scrape by with a victory. This matchup, wow, so close. Brian B gets a slight point in the rear lat spread. The rear double bicep is also just too close to make a call, too close to make a 100% sure judgment on this one. Could easily go either way. That back thickness, those lats and those biceps of Brian Buchanan, they could easily score him a victory in this. But Charles Clairmonte is much more complete. Look at the legs. This time Brian does not have those striated hamstrings, and Charles does in spades. So if I did give a slight edge to Brian in the rear lat, I'm going to have to be forced to give a slight edge to Charles Clairmonte in the rear double bicep. One of the best matches that I've ever put on these two. Bravo! Here we have two photo shoot, most muscular poses, keeping it fair, of course, and not unlike any of the poses in this entire matchup. This one could really go either way. Brian is crouching down a little bit, making him look even a little bit shorter than he already is. He looks like Eddie Murphy here. But anyway, where am I? Oh, yes. I'm giving this one to Charles Clairmonte. It is the most muscular, and I focus more on the muscle mass and the size here, rather than the aesthetics, which Brian may be getting a victory in that aspect. But nothing doing. Charles Clairmonte gets another point. And now, the final pose comparison, the ab and thigh. I am literally sweating, ladies and gentlemen. This one was so close, and right down to the nail. This ab and thigh could honestly go either way. I could see the side where Charles Clairmonte could get the victory. Those abs look fantastic, washboard. The thighs, massive, much larger than Brian's. But then you look at Brian. That V-taper is stuff of legend, goes all the way to the elbows. Look at that. Wow. That looks unreal, and there's even feathering in them quads. I did that little display, so I'm going to go with Brian Buchanan in this very tight race. Ladies and gentlemen, the sweat is just, I am perspiring unreal. This is a tie game. But here's some controversy. This here is a side tricep pose. Charles Clairmonte has many of them, and they all look fantastic, much like this one, feathering in that tricep. What's my point? Brian Buchanan is unable to produce any pictures of a side tricep. So Charles Clairmonte gets the victory by one simple point. And it's a little bit unfair here. Brian Buchanan unable to even stand up for himself and defend himself in this. But I have to lean one way or the other. And Charles Clairmonte advances on to the finals of this tournament. And that just leaves one more matchup before we figure out the main event in this whole tournament. This was a good one. This was an exciting tournament in my opinion. Robbie Robinson takes on Edward Kowak. Very interesting matchup, and I promise you guys, I am going to do my very best to keep politics out of this one. As you may or may not know, Robbie Robinson is my absolute favorite bodybuilder of all time. Him and Franco Columbu, of course. But I favor Edward Kowak as well. And may the best man win. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, please go ahead and tap that subscribe button. I am inching my way to that 1,000 sub level. And then, of course, beyond, that is my goal. So if you already have, thank you very much. You're helping me, every one of you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to the next one. Have a great day.